of our great nonprofit organizations, get the latest updates from our elected officials, and meet the candidates. Even rock and roll legends have joined the show from time to time. I'm conservative but not divisive, bringing you the talk of the community. It is a fun and interesting hour beginning at 10 a.m. every Wednesday on WSTU AM 1450 and Facebook Live at The Casey Ingram Show.
You are listening to WSTU, Stewart, Jupiter, and Indiantown, Martin County's Heritage Station.
It's time now for the Casey Ingram Show on WSTU. The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not necessarily those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time to call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788, 220-WSTU. And now, here's Casey Ingram.
Welcome back to the second half hour of the show. First half hour was so much fun. I had the 4-Hers in that are going to be at the Martin County Fair. Again, that starts this weekend, February 10th through the 18th. Get your tickets now. They start at $6. They go up a little bit more if you wait until Fair Day, but it's really an expensive way to have a lot of entertainment and fun for the family. So check that out at martincountyfair.com. In the studio now, I have such a pleasure once again to introduce Jimmy Smith. He's president of the NAACP. And Jimmy, I was trying to find a little bit more out about you, and my goodness, as long as I've known you, there's just so much more to know about you. So let me know if any of this is wrong, but U.S. Army veteran.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service. And owner of Jimmy's Barbecue, leader of the Martin County, Florida Restoration Rights Coalition, owner of Jimmy Smith Landscaping, president of the Florida Martin County NAACP, and pastor of the Stewart, Florida Pentecostal Church of God in Christ.
Yes, I'm not the pastor there. I'm one of the ministers. Pentecostal pastor Jerry Gore is the pastor, and I'm a member of the Florida Restoration Rights.
Wonderful. I'm glad you corrected that.
Yes, here in Martin County. But the rest, you're right.
It's amazing. I don't know how you have time on your hands, and I appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedule. I know you are a very busy man, but Jimmy Smith, he's, like I said, president of our NAACP. We're going to talk about a really important gala that's coming up there. But Jimmy, I also wanted to talk a little bit about the history of Martin County. It's Black History Month. We're celebrating it. And Jimmy, I just sit there and listen to your stories and hang on every word. And I really love being able to share that with my listeners because it's so important that everybody know where we came from and where we are today. And one thing I want to say about Jimmy Smith, too, is I really idolize the way you handle any kind of adverse events. You're such a uniter in this community, and I'm so grateful for you because of that. So there's a lot of things we can talk about, but we're here to, we're going to talk about some different things. But I wanted you to know that. And Jimmy Smith, I, just love having you here. So, Jimmy, tell us a little bit about. There's a gala coming up. You gave me the paper on it, but it's the Martin County NAAC Annual Freedom Fund Gala.
Yes, that's just our biggest gala that we have once a year for a fundraiser for the organization to function. And this year we will have the Assistant Secretary of the United States of HHS, Health and Human Service, will be our guest speaker from Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And so we have live entertainment, dinner, food, awards nights for some people that have did some great things in the community and support this organization. So that's so important that you can come and be a part.
It truly is. And I also want to touch on being a member of the NAACP. I've been a member thanks to Jimmy. Such a wonderful organization. What can people do, or who do they contact to become a member? Because this is for everybody, the NAACP. Right.
Yes, you can contact NAACP office, or you can call my phone number, 772-215-2411, and I can lead you to the right direction to become a member. It's $30 a year to become a member, 8 cents a week. That's all it is, 8 cents a week. And you're a big supporter of this organization because this organization fights for all people.
That's right, it does. That's absolutely what its mission is.
Right.
Fight equally for all people.
Right.
And again, and you're I can understand why you've been president for so long, quite a few years. I think you took over for Pastor Gore. He was
right.
president prior to you. And the two of you have just taken this membership level here in Martin County it just grows every year, I'm sure.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's important. It's
Yes,
important
it
for the
is.
whole community, and we're going to talk about that through Black History Month because it is important that we all work together. You know,
That's right.
We're just a county that I think, Jimmy, that I've always found that people here are always so friendly and so willing to just go arm in arm and get out and help whatever the issue happens to be.
That's right.
It could be water, it could be other issues, but we're all here together. So
Yes, this is. I've been here. My family landed here way before the '60s, in the '40s.
1940s.
In the '40s, Hope Sound. But when I arrived here in 1962, as a little kid in Hope Sound, and the things that I have experienced and seen over the years and to this day, what a big change. There's a lot more work need to be done, but the history of Martin County, a lot of people don't know the history and the impact it have had on the I call the pioneers of this county and city. In Black History Month, like I shared last night with the Democratic Party on speech, someone spoke before me. I spoke on about the history where that my family, coming from a large family, that back in those days you had to have a large family to survive. Coming out of Georgia off a plantation, I was sharing with them 4 years old out in the cotton field with my mother with all the kids, because they took everyone to the field when we worked, and picking cotton at a young age. And
you were 4 years old, you were just
yeah,
saying.
4 years
you
old.
talk about a young age.
Right, pulling cotton from the cotton plant. Yeah, it's amazing. I just left here two or 3 days ago from a funeral in my hometown of Marshallville, Georgia.
Sorry to
And
hear
I
that.
took my wife by there, and she seen the cotton fields. She couldn't believe it. And so when you say that, working in the fields and with a large family, bringing home $3 a week. $3 a week, I share with people. And people don't have no understanding because they never experienced those
Right.
things. And they wonder why that some maybe have less, so much less, but they only just didn't get treated fairly. You know, my mother coming here to Martin County at that young age in the 60s with 7 kids. And then she got a job working for Henry H. Flower, the Secretary of the Church of the United States. And I think about Miss Flower, his wife, was one of the greatest women in the world. I mean, we loved her. And I can remember like yesterday how she treated us. She gave my mom her first car, was a push button
Wow.
gear with Dodge. And we see her coming, we just run to her, and I still love her today. But after she left there, she works for the Bushes on Jude Island for long term.
And yes, Jimmy means the President Bush family.
President Bush family, that's right. And she helped while Jed and George Bush were young kids. She helped tend to them, cook for them, and sing to them over those years. And so a lot of times, like I shared with people, that the history of why some people just didn't get a fair chance. When my mother retired from the Bushes and working for the flowers all those years and working in the fields and tomato fields, you name it, here in Florida, the flower farms and just trying to make ends meet. And when she retired, you know what she received? Nothing. She couldn't even get Social Security or nothing. And so when we talk about this, you know, the disparities of how people be treated and how people was oppressed, a lot of time you would never understand if you've never been in those shoes. And I shared with people last night about someone come to me and said, well, Mr. Smith, those folks over in that community don't want anything. And I asked them this question. I said, are you a human being? And they replied, yes. I said, you believe they're a human being? Yes. I said, do you want something in life? Yes. I said, everybody wants a better life. I said, those folks over there couldn't afford to have a nice yard. They can't afford to have a nice car. I said, they just struggling with what they have. I said, but if you really understand how a lot of yours came across, you know, how you inherited some of your finances, it's hurtful. I said, but I'm not accusing you of where you at. I said, but slavery was 402 years, not 400. And then, so I said, if I can get someone to work for me for just 1 year free, I could come up. But that's not the oppression about it. It's what happened in the past. The past is what's going to make the future greater.
But you're just showing us too that it's so important to understand. I think about passing on to the next generation, and if you don't have any way of making any money for retirement, you're not paid enough to even put any away. You're trying to live hand to mouth every week, and then when you have retirement, there is no retirement package. What are you supposed to pass on to your kids? You can't.
Right, and those are the things I'm saying is that some people are put in position that they wouldn't treat it right for us, taking out taxes on them, pay little under the table. And like I explained last night, the average black community, those older folks over there, the most biggest income they have is about $800 a month. I say, and that's why you might see where they're not able to fix the yard up or fix the house or their roof. They're crying out because they have paved the way. They pioneers of this community. They worked in the fields. They helped the pineapple. They helped the flower farm. They got paid a little. Others got richer off it, those situations. But they was just thankful and praying to God for whatever they can to feed their little children. So those,
taking care of what needed to be done that day,
right,
today.
that day, and every day was lived day for day. So if you are not fortunate enough to be inherited, receive something hand down from your family, those folks didn't have anything to hand down. They just couldn't make it, and they are crying out today, Lord, I know you never left me, and you promised that you'll never leave me, and I know that every day you provide. So in this time, we should always care for love of one another. If I always say that I wouldn't want to be the only one to have a decent meal. If I love God, I should love what God loves. It's all people. And color shouldn't be an issue nowhere. Because I always say this, NAACP is the National Advancement for the Association of Colored People. And I say this to people, look at your neighbor next to them and see if they got the same color you are. Everybody have a color.
That's right.
And so when we start to not loving one that God created, then we got a problem with trying to answer God. So there's no way you can love God and don't love what he loves.
Right,
so,
right. And we're such a melting pot here in this country. And, that's something you talk about. Everybody does have a different skin color, and that's so true. Jimmy, I think one of the things that really strikes me speaking to you is what you really are able to get across and communicate to people is when you're brought up a certain way and you're given certain opportunities, it's different depending on what opportunity you had, or if you even had opportunities, right? Some people are given more opportunities, so they advance more.
Right. And this is the thing that I try to share with. There's opportunity, second chance citizen. The black and brown community have been impacted really, really bad 50 years ago. Not even expecting that today it will really have that impact on them and their family. For us having a record, that maybe been accused of things that was untrue, and maybe there's been accused of things that was true, but didn't have finance to get a lawyer to clean their record. Not expecting at this time that it will cause an impact that they can't have a driver license, they can't get a decent job because they have a past record. Maybe it's about drugs, maybe it's about something simple, but it being pushed to the level of a felony. And so, all right, you look at that, then that's taken away. You find a lot of black males incarcerated because of those things. Some things is need to be done, and there's a majority that don't need to be. A person shouldn't be 30 years for a drug problem. You know what I mean?
There's some felonies, that's right, that it didn't hurt somebody else. It was something you break the law. I guess my issue, we talk about felonies, they lose their voting rights.
Right.
And, the sad thing to me about it is when you go to the court of law, you have a judge pass a sentence, you do your time, you paid for whatever crime it was. Why is it so difficult to restore your voting rights? You paid your crime. And I think that's what everybody's asking for, just fairness, right?
Right, fairness is equal opportunity. Like I say, it's not all people. It's just some people that's in power for the purposes of oppress, to keep a person in bondage. Like I said, a lot of people say, well, the NAACP, just use that to answer that question, is that I shared with a lot of people last night, probably over 100 people, was well, 99% was white. Then I shared with them the NAACP was started in 1909. Women didn't have rights until 1920.
Right.
Okay, so they've been fighting, and guess what? The NAACP was started by two white women and a black. Okay, because of oppression, the lynching and everything. I say, so this organization has been started since then, fighting for equal opportunity for all people to have rights. So when you look at that, the way they take away is something that always, I believe, that was already pre-planted years ago, that the world would change later. We 50 years behind when you catch up with what's really taking place. Like cell phone would never expect it to be the way it is now when we first came out with cell phone, and now just look at it now.
Right.
So that's the same thing with being oppressed of people that you want to keep in bondage, keep them lack of education. Taking the education out of the schools also. History shouldn't be black history. It should be American history.
That's right.
While we segregate, segregation still taking place. We have gated communities that are separate. I'm not nothing against it, but we are so segregated more than we was back in those days. And so when you are not a part of what's really the heartbeat of America, you separate it. You're only going to lean on your own understanding. And the Bible tells me, lean not on your own understanding. Otherwise, I learn your way, you learn mine, so when your way don't work, you have another way out. But if you just only live according to your way, and then things don't work, you're lost. So he gives a way out if we learn to love one another.
But Jimmy, you and I have had a lot of conversations about this type of thing over the years, and I think that one of the things you really opened my eyes to was the fact that different cultures respond differently. And so the white culture may look at the black culture goes, talks a lot with their hands. They talk louder. They're more emphatic. And all of a sudden, the white culture says, oh my gosh, they're mad. They're going to beat me up. That's not the case whatsoever. It's a lack of understanding.
Lack of understanding. And that's the transparency that we need to be fair across the board. If you learn to get to know my culture, and I get to know yours, right. I love you more, I understand you more. But if you reject my way and you want me to accept your way, that's not transparent. That's bias. So you're right. We talk with our hands emotionally. We talk loud because, our culture is that 5 or 10 people can be standing there together talking. Everybody talking, but everybody know who they connected, and they hear what they need to hear, and they cut out what they don't want to hear. Right. Some people misunderstand that about how we. Well, Italians do it too.
Right.
Where they talk with their hands.
It's a cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing.
Different.
And you're right, Miss Casey. That same thing shared with the sheriff department is that when you bring a new officer in the community, and then a black kid just got a car. It might be an old car, but it's new to him. And he's just so thankful to get anything to drive. And what you do in our community, they'll drive around from block to block, showing off their little car to their friend. They talk to them standing on the side of the road or at the park. They dap or whatever, man, hey, look at here,
Right.
And then for your community and your culture, you feel like something suspicious because you go to your community, you just go home, park your car in the garage, in the driveway, and you get out of your car and go in your backyard. We respond different. And then you assume that they have a drug transaction, that you're doing something illegal, but that is the community, and the way we...
You've talked about that, where the black community gets targeted for drugs unfairly because all of a sudden, they just assume because it's a black community, it's got to be drug dealing. There's a group of kids together. That's not the case.
It's not the case.
It's terrible that it is. And,
Right. And what's hurtful as in my speech last night is that we always assume that, the drugs is very bad in the black community. Oh my gosh, they're bringing drugs in and out. But I'm gonna just be honest to the audience. Listen, the average black person, black community, don't even have a plane. I know they don't have a boat. Most of them don't have a boat. They don't have a plane. They just maybe do blessed to have a car, bicycle. Drugs is not brought in by brown people. We just overlooked the real truth. Trafficking, and I'm not going to blame anybody for whoever doing it, but the small amount of drugs that may be in the black and brown community, you put it all together, you might be lucky to get a pound, okay? But that's not the real effect. If you want to start drug use and drug trafficking, we need to target what's really bringing it in. And the same thing we talk about, we accuse everybody. I put it this way: we accuse the poor always blame for everything, and they need it.
Which is truly unfair because sometimes people do things out of desperation too.
Desperation, oppressed. Someone got to find a way to survive. Like we're talking about, all the birds and the turtles.
Right.
You know, the land turtles and stuff. I mentioned that last night. I say where they instinct or they reserve. We want to protect those the species. We want to talk about all these things, but those are the things that we had to eat and to live on. Here in Florida, the turtles was a part of our diet, our need of eating. The sea turtles, those things, everything God created is edible.
Yeah.
Okay, but we as human beings, we'll put more emphasis in protecting them than they do human beings.
Human beings, right?
And everything more valuable than a human. And God said, "Wow, I take care of the birds of the air, but you are special."
Right.
And we don't even we love our animals more than we love human beings. And I'm not saying don't love your animal, but still.
It's a human being.
Human being. But if you fall down on the ground and you can't get up, that animal can't help you up.
No.
But the human being that you hated is the one that can help you up. And
right.
that's what we got to learn to, before we leave this earth, we're going to have to learn to love one another. Because if you land on your back and can't get up, it don't matter what color you are. You want some love.
Right.
You want some.
You need help.
You need help.
Whatever
and
it is.
So race is terrible for anyone to hate someone because they are color. Prejudice is another thing. Prejudice, the definition of prejudice is anything you dislike. But racism is when you choose to dislike because of a race,
right.
creed, of those kind of things. And we got to be careful because our days are short. And
Sure
we got
are.
to stand before the judgment of whoever your high power is.
That's right.
We got to leave here. I haven't seen anybody stay here longer yet.
Nope. Nobody's figured that out, have they?
But during the history time now, so many people are fighting and dying. In not the police hand. Like the young man just got killed by 5 black officers.
Yes.
It's not under the law. It's not saying what color you are. It's the badge and who you are, and it's a culture thing that all people have that power takes upon and treats another male take out. It's hurtful.
It's very hurtful. I was going to say at the end of the day, if you're murdered, it doesn't matter what color your skin is, you're dead. If you get beat up, it doesn't matter what color your skin is, you've been hurt.
Yes.
And, that's where we just have to come together as humanity.
Right. And how can we become greater? If there's a war going on, when I was in the military and we was out there, it didn't matter who was next to you, what color. We wasn't even interested. We just want to make sure we look
That's
out
right.
for each other.
That's right.
Okay? And once we get out of war and come back here, now we segregated again. There might be segregation inside the military on different levels, but when we on that war field out there, it don't matter.
United you're strong, divided you fall.
That's right, and that's where we at. We're not touching and agreeing. I just say that you can be wealthy but not healthy.
Right.
And so
Right.
you can be healthy and not wealthy. So we all have something we can share with each other. And so I say that love conquer all things. And I believe myself, I was raised to love people who they are. And then if I can love them who they are, I don't have to like everything about them.
That's right.
I don't like everything about me. So but I love me. So like and love is two different
We all
things.
love you, Jimmy.
So
You've seen a lot of things. The show is going by too quickly, but you've seen a lot of things here in Martin County over the last 50 years. This last year I know had some disappointments, and one of them was the Hidden Oaks Middle School students that held up a very egregious sign. But Jimmy, this is at the beginning of the show where I said I have so much respect and idolize how you handle things. That you took a really terrible event and you put together a unity and peace walk through the neighborhood, East Stewart neighborhood. And in fact, one of the students even came out and apologized that day. But that's truly a leader. And Jimmy, I love how you come out and you show by example we can get along.
that's right.
And that's something that could have really divided Martin County much more. But with your leadership, we're able to get by it and say that was wrong, but that's not going to break us down.
Truly, that was important. I look at it as kids, the same thing that those kids did and their parents wanted for their kids. All it was the same thing that all black and brown parents want for their kids when they do something wrong. We all, as kids, have did wrong. Some got caught, some got away with it, and some had funds to get away with it. Those kids, just kids. And they can be the prime example to set the world straight that I made a mistake because I just didn't know. Knowledge is something very powerful. And we have to love people where they are and help them to grow. We don't want kids to develop with a firearm in their hand and kill the world, no matter who you shoot. We want kids to grow up and say, I can help my loved ones around me to learn that was wrong and I can love.
Right.
And the kids have reached out, the parents have. We've been working out things with the parents, so I'm thankful that people can learn to just say, that's all the black brown parents want. My kid make a mistake. Don't hate them. Don't hold it down on them the rest of their life.
Every parent wants their child to succeed, and kids do make mistakes, and that's where you just brought unity and you put the focus on kids can do bad things. Kids are too young to really understand right and wrong completely.
Right, that's right.
They don't understand the complete consequences. Jimmy, what if we've only got a couple minutes, but over your growing up here over the last 60 years, what positive things have you really sticks out to you for Martin County? 2 minutes.
What sticks out in Martin County is that Martin County have became more open to some things that was very close. And so now that the transparent have become greater, we have the best sheriff we ever had. I got to get that. It's a lot of more work we need to do, but a long way we have came, and that's one thing is working with the law enforcement to stop the oppression. I'm just so thankful to be able to be here with you. To meet you. The greatest thing it is to meet you and to know you and your husband and how lovely and kind and we have met, and that's one of the greatest things I have learned in Martin County is to meet a young lady like you and your husband.
Oh, that truly just touches my heart, and the feelings is definitely mutual, Jimmy. And before we leave, again, the Martin County NAACP will host the annual Freedom Fund Gala. And Jimmy, let me see here. You can contact Gloretta at 772-324-8182 to get some more information on that, get your tickets. Is there a deadline for tickets?
Yes, we're trying to do it before the, I think the 8th of March.
8th of March,
yes,
okay.
So that way we can have seating charts.
So this is going to be a very exciting time. And again, you said the Assistant Secretary for the Administration, the ASA, the Health and
Human Services.
Yeah, thank you, Health and Human Services. Cheryl Campbell will be the keynote speaker. So very exciting again. Folks, make sure you try and sign up for that. Jimmy Smith, President of the NAACP. I wish I had a couple more hours because there's so much more. I wanted to talk more about history, but it's always such a pleasure to have you here, and appreciate you here in our community.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
As always, and anytime. And if you have a video from last night, can I share it?
I got to give it to you.
Okay. I'll be sharing that on my Facebook.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, folks. We'll be back again next week.